This video, I'm going to show you some of my tips and tricks on how to get your offset smoker started and how to modulate temperature. Now, there are a couple of really simple mods that I've done to this that don't involve any kind of drilling, cutting, or anything into this to help with the fire management. Some things you have to think about. Arizona, in the summertime it's hot. When it's 120 degrees outside, my biggest worry with using the offset smoker is being able to keep that fire down, keep that temperature down, because it gets real hard to start modulating temperature when it's already scorching hot outside. I'm gonna show you guys how I like to light my fires and how to keep control of temperature and how to keep flow on the offset smoker. Today we're using the Brinkmann Trailmaster Limited Edition. This is the Firebox. This is your damper, your intake damper right here. And this is your smoke damper right here. Side here is your cooking chamber, and that's some delicious short ribs from my last cook. No, sorry, that is my pulled ham that I made. I've got one of my fire mods in here right now, so let's look at it. So here's what the inside of the smoker looks like. You have your first grate right here, and then you have your second grate where you put all your meat. Right down inside there is the firebox. That's where you're gonna make your fire. It's where you put your bed of coals and your logs and sticks to smoke. When it's 120 degrees outside in Arizona, it gets really hot. So this direct heat is not really a good thing when you're trying to control your fire. So what I did was I took this big brick. It's actually one of these guys right here. You can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. And I take this guy and I put it right here to help soak up some of the heat and block it. I covered it in foil. And then I could put this here. Not that that's super needed, but basically putting this, you're blocking half the firebox. You're still getting good heat coming through here. You're still getting good smoke coming out through here, but it's a lot less. So you have to focus mostly on your fire in here. So another thing you can do, I've wrapped this in foil, flipped it around, and you can go like that. Keeping these two grates open, wrap this in foil, and then you're totally blocking the direct heat. You're just getting smoke flow and then indirect heat coming from the sides and coming from under. Let's talk about lighting the firebox right now. So you have two types of coals you can use. You can use lump charcoal, or you can use briquettes. The two big differences I've noticed with the lump and the briquettes is the lump burns a lot hotter. The briquettes, they burn more stable, but a little cooler. Kind of like to use the charcoal briquettes just because they seem to hold form a little better and they don't burn quite as hot as the lump. However, the lump, you can really get a nice fire going with those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my first chimney with lump charcoal, and then the second chimney is going to be the charcoal briquettes. So for the chimney I use is a Weber chimney. It's nothing fancy, doesn't open on the bottom or anything. And I usually stick it right into there because that's where all the heat's going, so any hot coals that are pouring through are just going to pour right into the basket. As far as an igniter, this is what I have. I used to use a blowtorch, but that's a bit of a waste. And this thing works so good. It gets red hot. So all I do is stick this right in there. I'll plug it in when I'm ready because there's no on-off switch or anything. It's just plug it in and it gets red hot. So now I'm going to pour the coals right into there. First batch is going to be lump charcoal. Alright, you can see it's real hot now. We got a nice flame going, so I'm gonna pull this out. Let me get it unplugged first. Then this guy. So all those sparks are a product of using all the sparks are a product of using lump charcoal. So let's dump this inside. Be very careful not to burn yourself. All right, chimney 1 is done. Alright, so we are nice and hot right here, so we're going to pull this out. Just here for a second. Okay, so we got 2 full chimneys. First layer is lump charcoal, the second one are briquettes. You can see the briquettes, they burn a lot more stable than the lump. They don't kind of flare up or spark as much. That's all right. We have a nice bed. Now we're gonna go ahead and throw some logs on there. Well, we're gonna throw a log on there. So here's a small mesquite log. This will get us started. And now we're gonna close the door and let it heat up. All right, and you can kind of see what I was talking about before. That's your firebox, and I can feel a lot of heat just coming out of this little tiny hole. So having this brick here is definitely helps with the fire management and the heat management. So we're gonna go ahead and slide the grate right over the top. Close the smoker. And I like to start with the chimney all the way open. So as far as temp control goes, I wouldn't rely on this guy because this is only measuring the surface temperature of the top of the chamber. It's a lot different when you're talking about down at the grates. So if you have a cheap little thermometer, or even if you have a thermometer with multiple probes, one of those probes or a couple of those probes could be used to measure the chamber temperature. So I'm gonna take this guy for now and just kind of set it in there. Close it. And we'll be able to monitor how hot the temperature really is in the cooking chamber. There's usually a point where this is blowing out some really gross white gray smoke. You want it to be a blue smoke when you're smoking. You don't want it to be too harsh or just be too much. So just wait for this to be a light thin blue smoke and then you're perfect. It's actually looking that way right now, but that log has not caught on fire yet. So let's wait, give it some time for this thing to get the temperature. So the temperature's still warming up, but it seems to start settling around 236. I think it's gonna settle around 250, which is perfectly what we're looking for. So some things you could do if your fire gets too hot, you can restrict the damper a little bit. Don't ever completely close your smoke damper because that's not gonna keep things moving, or it's gonna keep the smoke from moving and recirculating. You want that smoke to get out of here. One thing you notice, you can barely see the smoke right now. It's a light, thin blue smoke, and that is perfect. So, if your fire starts getting a little too cold, you can make sure this is open all the way. Again, if it's too hot, close your intake damper a little bit. If it's way too hot, just close it for a while. Your fire and temperature will start to drop when you close this. Otherwise, if it gets too cold, open it up. Throw on some more logs, or just throw on another log and let it cook, let it burn. When all is said and done, offset smokers are actually really easy to operate. The only thing is, you have to keep an eye on it. You have to keep an eye on your temperatures. And if you have a well-sealed firebox, sometimes a mesquite log can last you anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. If you have one like mine where there's still a lot of air getting in, even through the ashtray, or the ash pan and all that, there's still air getting in. So even if I close off that damper all the way, there's still a lot of air coming in from different places. If that's the case, it's going to burn through logs a lot faster, and it makes it a little more difficult to modulate your temperatures. But with the simple mod of putting the brick near the opening for the firebox, it really helps with temperature control. So What do you guys like to do with your smokers? Have you guys had any experience with this particular model at all? Either way, leave a comment below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I'd very much appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the bell notification icon. It's on this side, I don't know, it's all backwards, whatever. Hit the bell notification icon so you can see when I'm producing new content and when it comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.